LeBron James has already left Cleveland twice, but the most important decision of his career might still be coming. Because for the first time in a long time, LeBron's future doesn't feel planned. It feels open. And today, we're breaking down why a return to Cleveland might actually be the only ending that truly makes sense, and why the timing is starting to feel impossible to ignore. If it happens, it wouldn't just be another free agency move. It could redefine how one of the greatest careers in sports history is remembered. There are no reports, no leaks, no confirmation, but for the first time in years, LeBron's future feels completely open. Not because he has anything left to prove, but because he gets to decide how the story closes. And when you start looking at the timing, the roster situations, and the stage of his career, you realize this isn't just speculation, it's a real possibility.
This is for you!
Because when a player who has shaped the NBA for 2 decades approaches the final chapter, every choice becomes bigger than basketball. So the real question isn't whether LeBron can still play, it's whether the perfect ending has been sitting in front of us this whole time. Right now, LeBron James is still a Laker. But if we're being honest, this doesn't feel like the final destination anymore. It feels more like a bridge between chapters. You can see it in how their roster is built. The Lakers are getting younger, their timeline is shifting, and while LeBron is still playing at an elite level, the team doesn't feel like it's clearly building toward one last championship run around him. He still controls the timeline with a player option and no trade clause. So yes, he's staying in LA for now. But control doesn't always mean commitment. Sometimes it just means flexibility. For the first time in years, LeBron doesn't look like he's building towards something. He looks like he's waiting. And if this really is the final stage of his career, the next move has to mean more than just basketball. It has to say something about legacy.
Well, there's one thing I'm sure of. This is his last year with the Lakers. He's not going to play with the Lakers next year.
At 41 years old, LeBron is still playing at a level that most players never reach in their prime, which makes this moment even more fascinating. For the first time in years, his future seems uncertain. 4 championships, 4 MVPs, 4 finals MVPs, the all-time scoring record.
Coming to the end of the third quarter, LeBron James, a shot in history. And it is! LeBron stands!
2 decades of dominance. There's nothing left to prove. This stage of his career isn't about chasing greatness anymore. It's about choosing how people remember the ending. And that's a completely different mindset. For most of his career, every move was about the next opportunity to win. Now it's about meaning, about narrative. The final move won't be about comfort, it'll be about legacy. This is the first time LeBron isn't chasing a ring. And once you realize that, the decision becomes less about winning and more about meaning. There are plenty of fascinating possibilities for where LeBron could finish his career. But when you really look at them, not all of them actually make sense. The Golden State Warriors are the obvious fantasy.
Steph Curry.
Yeah, that's the one.
Steph Curry's the one that I want to play with, for sure.
Playing with Steph Curry will be iconic, but joining your biggest rival at the end of your career complicates the story more than it completes it. Dallas sounds fun because of a Kyrie reunion, but the Mavericks are retooling. That's not the stage LeBron is in. The Clippers keep him in LA, but their instability doesn't exactly scream storybook ending. And the Knicks would be a headline, but the fit feels more symbolic than realistic.
You ever think what it would have been like to come and play for the Knicks?
I mean, I've had, during my free agency period in 2010, it was one of the teams that I looked at. So I've had that thought in my career.
So while all these options sound exciting, none of them fully answer the biggest question. What ending actually feels right for LeBron James?
With the first pick in the 2003 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James.
Which brings us to the place that makes this conversation impossible to ignore. Cleveland. The Cavaliers didn't trade away Darius Garland for James Harden because they were thinking long-term. That was a win-now move. The Cavaliers have built a real contender. Donovan Mitchell in his prime, Evan Mobley anchoring the defense, Jarrett Allen protecting the rim. This isn't the team LeBron left behind. It's a team with its own identity and real expectations. This wouldn't be LeBron coming back to save a franchise. It would be him stepping into a team that's already built to win. What they're missing isn't talent, it's playoff breakthrough experience. And that just happens to be something LeBron has more of than almost anyone in history.
I was like LeBron in Cleveland with D. Mitch, with Mobley, with Allen. Damn, they could win the chip. So
here's the part nobody talks about enough. The basketball fit actually makes a lot of sense. The Eastern Conference offers a clearer path than the West. LeBron wouldn't need to carry the load every night. He could guide, elevate, and pick his moments. And timing matters here more than people realize. LeBron has always been incredibly intentional about when he makes his moves. Whether it was Miami in 2010, the return in 2014, or Los Angeles in 2018. Every decision lined up with both basketball logic and long-term vision. This moment feels no different. Cleveland has shown it's willing to spend, and their roster structure works for a veteran superstar. For the first time, money probably isn't the deciding factor. Even the possibility of continuing to play alongside his son becomes more realistic here. So when you step back and look at it objectively, the logic lines up surprisingly well. But there's still one complication. LeBron has never chosen the easy path.
The answer to the question everybody wants to know. LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Joining Miami reshaped player empowerment. Returning to Cleveland delivered one of the most historic championships ever. Going to Los Angeles expanded his global brand. Every move changed the league, which means if history tells us anything, his final decision won't be predictable, it'll be meaningful.
This is Donovan Mitchell City now. When he come back here, we're going to make sure that everybody root for him like they did for him. So this is stuff.
Here's the uncomfortable truth about a Cleveland reunion. It wouldn't be his team anymore. This is Donovan Mitchell's franchise now, and that tension is what makes the story so compelling. Accepting a final chapter as more of a mentor than the centerpiece would redefine what longevity looks like in professional sports. So the real question becomes, could LeBron embrace an ending where he guides the next era instead of leading it alone? Because there's something about Cleveland that no other destination can match: emotion. LeBron's story starts as a kid from Akron, carrying the expectations of an entire region. When he left, it felt like betrayal. When he returned, it felt like redemption. And when he delivered a championship, it became something bigger than basketball. It became closure. But closure doesn't always mean the story is finished. And no matter how far his career has taken him, Cleveland still feels like the center of gravity. But legacy isn't just emotional, it's strategic. LeBron James isn't just an athlete. He's a global brand, a media figure, and one of the most influential players in sports history. Every move he makes now carries meaning far beyond the court. Where he finishes will shape documentaries, highlight reels, and how future generations understand his career. There's a difference between ending quietly and ending with the full circle moment. Because finishing where it began would cement the idea that LeBron wasn't just chasing championships, he was building a story. Every generational career eventually reaches its final chapter. Maybe he stays in Los Angeles. Maybe he chooses somewhere unexpected. But if you were writing the script, you would probably look for symmetry, for meaning, for the moment that makes the entire basketball world stop. Because the greatest careers aren't remembered for how long they lasted, they're remembered for how they ended. And whether it happens or not, the idea of LeBron James finishing his career in Cleveland is the kind of story that just feels right. The kind of story the sports world would never forget.